The accountability critical for Nigeria's move to renewable energy. OPEC Plus cut required production levels in November 2022 to 41.9 million barrels per day. This is Business Express on the network service of the NTA, and we are reaching you from Abuja, the nation's capital. I am Musa Abubakar. Now let's begin by telling you that 20.51 trillion naira budget of fiscal sustainability and transition is proposed for expenditure by the federal government for its services in the 2023 fiscal year. The budget, which is the last by the Buhari presidency, is designed to maintain fiscal viability, address critical issues of concern, and lay a solid foundation for the next administration. President Muhammadu Buhari, who presented the appropriation bill before a joint session of the National Assembly, reassured the nation of his unshakable commitment to leaving a legacy of peaceful, prosperous, and secure Nigeria.
The 2023 budget was prepared amidst a very challenging world economy, which is weakened by the lingering effects of the coronavirus pandemic, high inflation, high crude oil prices, resulting in huge costs of PMS subsidy, and negative spillover effects of Russia-Ukraine war. Many economies around the world are currently contending with fiscal instability, slow growth, food prices, and high interest rates. Like many other countries, our economy faces headwinds from low revenues, high inflation, exchange rate depreciation, and insecurity.
President Muhammadu Buhari this morning presented the spending plan amid global concerns over rising debts, inflation, and energy crisis, coupled with weak recovery prospects. Where is Nigeria in the midst of these as the campaign doors open? Professor Uche Waleke of Nassau State University joins me to look at the 2023 budget. You're welcome to Business Express.
Thank you very much, Musa.
Well, the budget is stuck as the budget of consolidation.
Budget of sustainability and transition.
And transition.
Yes.
Well,
for obvious reasons.
For obvious reasons,
Yeah.
of course. Then, what do you make of it?
Well, I would like to start by, on a note of commendation. The first is that, again, relatively speaking, the presentation is being done early. And of course, that will allow the National Assembly.
Isn't it a good thing that it's done early?
Yes, it's a good thing because it's going to allow the National Assembly members ample time to interrogate the budget. And of course, you notice that what has happened in the last couple of years is that the administration has succeeded in returning the budget cycle to what it used to be, January to December cycle. And that's made possible by the early submission of the budget proposal. So I think that's positive. Another positive thing I see in this the process is the fact that the finance bill, of 2023 is also going to come along and will be considered alongside the appropriation bill. Again, that's a practice that started in 2019. And it's been sustained. Again, that's commendable. And then finally, the fact that the budget of government-owned enterprises, about 66 of them, okay, is now being integrated into the national budget is also commendable. So when you now find the government talking about spending 20.5 trillion aggregate expenditure for 2023, that includes the spending for GOEs. And when it says it's expects to get a little over 9 trillion in terms of revenue, that also accommodates them. So, as you know, the proposal, what we have is a product of the medium-term expenditure framework, which again the National Assembly, has given approval, which says provides for, although in the medium-term expenditure framework, what was provided for was I think 19.7 trillion, but now we have 20.5 trillion. That's the size of the budget, and the size of the budget, is predicated on a number of assumptions and benchmarks. Recall that the oil price benchmark is put at $70 per barrel. Okay, in 2022 we had it at $73 per barrel under the revised budget for 2022. Oil production 1.69 million barrels per day. And I think to a large extent these as benchmarks are realistic. If you look at the oil price, where it is today, and the projections that have been made by energy experts, so $70 per barrel in my view is conservative and it's realistic.
Okay.
The 1.69 million barrels per day, even though we didn't meet that target in 2022 as a result of oil theft, largely, but in the budget speech I listened to, he said NNPC, was doing something about it, and that would mean that the 1.6 million barrels per day, the government intends to, meet that.
Okay, let's look at global and local fundamentals. How realistic is this budget?
Yes, that's the point, I was making. I said, if you look at global development, the fact that, yes, the global economy is still reeling from the effects of COVID-19.
Russia, Ukraine.
In China, for example, growth is weakening. The Russian-Ukraine war is causing inflation and all over the world, especially in developed economies. So all these were put into consideration in fixing, for example, the exchange rate. Exchange rate at 4.35, naira to the dollar. Recall that in 2022 budget, we used I think 4.15 naira to the dollar. So what we're using in 2023 is an indication that there is a plan that there will be depreciation. The naira will depreciate by 2023. Because the official rates by 2023 budget proposal is 4.35 to the dollar.
Okay.
Again, inflation rates in the budget proposal 17.16. That's the one I really doubt whether
the possibility of it dropping into that particular.
You know why? This budget is based on the fact that petroleum subsidy will go. That there will be no petroleum subsidy in 2023. So if you remove petroleum subsidy by July, if you take it off next year, it's likely going to cause more pressure on domestic prices. So inflation rate is likely to go higher, little higher beyond that 17.1.
Okay, now the budget has been presented. What impact do you expect it to make now? Because we've seen in the course of the week that the dollar gain against the naira gain against the dollar.
Well, the impact on of a budget is usually based on implementation, how well it's implemented. Of course, it's too early to begin to talk about implementation of the 2023 budget. But if you look at what has happened for 2022, you will realize that even from what the president said today, in terms of revenue targets were not met. If you look at the budget performance between January and July, that revenue targets actually fell short by as much as 63%. I think that's the figure that he mentioned. Okay, but in terms of the immediate impact of this action, okay, as I said, I see it as a positive action, that the fact that it's coming early. Okay, I expect that the market, under normal circumstances, the market should react to it, favorably, and possibly that's also why you find if the naira is gaining, for me, is maybe on account of the fact that the central bank is intervening more in the forex market.
Who and what do you see as the drivers of this budget?
Well, if you look at what the proposal itself, it talks about recurrent spending of over 8 trillion. It talks about capital expenditure of over 5 trillion. Okay, so in effect, the major push should be capital, but you also realize that the capital component is actually in decline compared to previous years. But what we have there is now is not up to 30% of total spending, and you also have that budget deficit has also grown. Okay, you have budget deficit of of over 10 trillion, I think, 10 trillion naira. Okay, which is nearly 5% of estimated GDP. While in the Fiscal Responsibility Act, what we have there is just 3%. So it's a situation where you have debt service alone, 6.3 trillion, in excess of what you're budgeting for capital expenditure. Of course, it gives cause, for worry. So again, the major challenge, as the president noted, is the revenue side. Yeah. The revenue side. A lot depends on what happens on the revenue side. And well, the good thing is that even in the budget proposal, the non-oil revenue is meant to bring the bulk of the revenue. Oil revenue is just about 2 trillion. Out of the 9 trillion they intend to get. So the bulk of it is non-oil. You have non-oil tax, you have money from MDAs, you have also from government enterprises. Okay, so there's really the need to monitor the non-oil revenue to improve collection efficiency and ensure that all that comes in. Because if that doesn't happen, the deficit will be more, debt service will be more, and then we'll be in for some crisis.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Uche Walike, Professor of Capital Market with Nassau State University. Thank you for coming to share.
My pleasure, Musa. Thank you.
Now moving on, the Central Bank of Nigeria says it has made a cumulative disbursements of 2.10 trillion naira to 426 projects across the country under the Real Sector Support Facility to boost the economy. The Deputy Director, Corporate Communications Department of the bank, Sam Okagwi, disclosed this at the ongoing 17th Abuja International Trade Fair. BINCAF and JLD to Better Resources are amongst the many beneficiaries of CBN intervention, giving testimonies on how their business have been impacted.
Able to scale to the next level, which is NAFDAC, for easy penetration of market. And it was easy, I didn't know anybody else.
It's the CBN special day here at the Abuja International Trade Fair. The Apex Bank team is advocating for export readiness by encouraging businesses to embrace the concept of produce, add value, and export, PAVE. This is to fast-track a bucket of substitutes to crude oil export, encourage backward integration for the local production of items with comparative advantage.
Over the years, the Central Bank of Nigeria has initiated interventions aimed at boosting the fortunes of small and medium enterprises in Nigeria. These include the SME Credit Guarantee Scheme, the Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises Development Fund, the Youth Entrepreneurship Development Program.
The Central Bank has been of great benefit to the SME sector by creating different financial platforms for them.
The theme urged Nigerians to take advantage of the e-Naira as the Apex Bank continue to ensure the mandate of monetary and price stability in the economy. In Abuja, I am Musa Abubakar. Now, the Small and Medium Enterprises Development Agency of Nigeria, SMEDEN, plans to scale up activities to clinch a target of $35 billion export value per annum for the next 5 years. Bosede Abel reports that what is standing between SMEDEN and the target is the rejection of some products in the international market due to poor quality.
Observatory of Economic Complexity, OEC, once ranked Nigeria as the 49th largest export economy in the world, having exported goods worth $47.8 billion. But over time, the tide changed due to poor packaging and branding. As Nigeria continues to express readiness to commence trading under the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement, AFCFTA, the Small and Medium Enterprises Growth and Development SMEDA is poised to changing the narrative, starting with this training program held in Abuja. The solution-driven initiative is part of the resolve by major stakeholders to make the nation's business climate viable, accessible, profitable, and attractive, offering training for micro, small, and medium-scale enterprises on value addition to all export commodities.
If you package properly, even locally, you get better patronage that we need to work in partnership with several other agencies that will impact on MSMEs.
With a theme, empowering small and medium enterprises for global competitiveness through packaging and branding, some of the challenges confronting these MSMEs were brought to the fore.
This program is an added value addition to our business.
With this training, we are good to go. We've learned the new way of doing things.
With participation of all stakeholders, both government and private institutions, it is hoped that practical approaches will salvage the situation and help Nigerian goods meet global standards in production and service delivery. In Abuja, Boss said able.
Now, access to funding has been described as the most critical engine of productivity and growth of micro, small and medium-scale enterprises, MSMEs. This was the focus at the official inauguration of MSME Forum in Abuja.
Because of quality, and the federal government is equally very much aware of it, and they are working assiduously to achieve desirable results.
Okay, we are helping them also organizing that unity we're talking about, from the state to local government to wards to the villages, as a matter of fact. But the main thing we want to do is to give them money that is already out here.
We signed MOU with some of the banks, and we told them it's not the money, but we need the MSME to be given capacity so they will be able to manage the loan and be able.
The United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization report indicates that World Price Index fell for a sixth month in a row in the month of September. The report indicates that the drop in the food prices is the lowest this year. The latest drop was driven by a 6.6% month-on-month fall in vegetable oil prices, with increased supplies and lower crude oil prices contributing to the decline. Sugar, dairy and meat prices all slipped by less than 1 percentage point, relieving inflationary pressures. By contrast, Food and Agriculture Organization Cereal Price Index rose 1.5% month-on-month in September, with wheat prices climbing 2.2% because of concerns over dry crop conditions in Argentina and the United States. Rice prices rose 2.2%. Partly because of worries over the impact of recent severe flooding in Pakistan. And now let's see how the commodities market is faring. On Thursday, the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC Plus, members met for the 33rd joint ministerial meeting and amid sanctions on Russia and tempestuous global energy prices, auguring a global recession, given fears of a global recession, which will potentially lead to a fall in demand. The The high interest rate environment will deter discretionary spending, hurting demand to stabilize markets. OPEC agreed to adjust the production levels in November to 41.856 million barrels per day, downwards by 2 million barrels per day from its August 2022 production levels. Following this, Brent crude prices rose by $3 per barrel following the announcement. Now let's join Ineka Oko for a global update.
Hello and welcome to the Global Market Review. U.S. equity futures weighed between small gains and losses this Friday as the government's key employment reading kept investors seeking monetary policy clues on edge. The Dow Jones Industrial Average was up by 0.19%. S&P 500 also gained 0.04%, while the Nasdaq Composite slipped 0.2%. In the Asia Pacific, stocks fell ahead of the monthly U.S. jobs report, which is likely to guide the Federal Reserve's monetary decision in November. Hong Kong's Hang Seng Index lost 1.51% and the Nikkei 225 depreciated by 0.71%, while markets in China remain closed for a holiday. European markets were mixed on Friday to round off a volatile week. The German DAX was fractionally higher by 0.07%. UK's FTSE topped 0.29%, while the French CAC gained 0.23%. African markets fell across the board to wrap up the week, with Tunisia's Tun Index down the most. Morocco's free float index was also down by 0.28%, and South Africa's JSE Africa Top 40 lost 0.21%. And that's Global Markets Review. I am Neka Oko.
Now that wraps Business Express for the week. Remember to keep in touch with us, so do send in your comments, observations, and suggestions. Also be informed that all previous episodes are available on YouTube on the NTA's channel. You can also communicate with us via our various social media platforms. Business Express returns Monday at 3 p.m. I'm Musa Bukar.
Hours a day, 7 days a week. You can watch NTA International live on your TV, computer, iPad, tablet, and phone. Log on to visiontv.co.uk and click on Entertainment, then NTAI. You can also download the iOS or Android app on your mobile devices to watch NTA International on the go, anywhere in the world. NTA International, your window to the world.
In our society, there are several ways of shouting yay. You say yay, people will run. You say yay, 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 yeah, yeah, yeah.